Okay, let's do a video of the JXB Performance bearing support or center bearing support for a drive shaft on Cadillac CTS. I believe this is the 08 through, I don't know if it's 2012 or 2014 model, but I'm putting this on a 2011 Cadillac CTS, just the base 3.0 V6. I believe this item actually works for everything up to the 3.6, and there's maybe a separate one for the CTS-V model. But unboxing real quick, you get an awesome sticker. I love seeing stickers with things. If you do do a Facebook post to it says a relevant Facebook group, they will give you 10% cash back. So let's get in here real quick. I'm sorry if you hear the lawnmower in the background and the bugs. It's out here, nice summertime in North Carolina, so all the normal summer activities going on. So we have the soft, I ordered the soft bushing. You can get a hard performance bushing as well. Being a 3.0 V6 for my daughter, I just wanted to go back close to stock. Got the soft bushings. You got a stack of washers or spacers here. In one bag here, you have a set of hardware. There's some more soft bushings or spacers and the bolts that are needed. And then you have the carrier bearing itself, which is an awesome piece of material. I hate that it goes under the car, and not only under the car, but underneath a heat shield, never to be seen again. But it looks here, if you look on here, it threw me off a little bit. This one says all-wheel drive, but if you switch it around, this side says rear-wheel drive. And so this, for rear-wheel drive, this faces the front of the car. For all-wheel drive, this faces the rear of the car. It threw me off at first because I knew I'd ordered one for the rear wheel drive. So that's a quick unboxing. We'll get up underneath the car and go ahead and do a quick install video. Okay, well, now we're out here under the car. We're going to go show you where that bearing is, the carrier bearing support. If you look back here, I think this is a resonator right in front of the rear axle. It is at the front up underneath this heat shield. And that's what I was saying, that new carrier bearing support is awesome, that bracket. But it's going to be up underneath that heat shield, never to be seen again. So we're going to go ahead, we're going to take this cross brace here out, and then we're going to take the exhaust off to drop that down, and then remove the heat shield so we can have access to that bearing. And JXB has install videos for this. I don't think it covers the removal of your exhaust. It shows after the bearing, you already have access to the bearing. It pretty much explains everything you need. I'm going to go through a little bit more detail here on what needs to be removed to make it easy access and make this as quick as I can. So let's start removing some stuff. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do is disconnect the O2 sensors. There's one on each side, and you just trace these wires up until you find the connector and disconnect them. I can tell you out of experience from removing these before, to replace the transmission mount. The driver's side one is not, I don't think it's too difficult to disconnect, but getting it reconnected is going to be fun. So we're going to disconnect those. Then we're going to take the nuts loose from the exhaust manifolds. Then we're going to remove the exhaust bushings or the exhaust hangers. And then the last thing I'm going to do is remove that cross member or cross brace there. So I'm going to let the exhaust actually lay on that while I'm disconnecting it, and then I'll remove that brace and drop the exhaust as an entire hole. So let's go ahead, start with removing these or disconnecting the O2 sensors. And I'm going to leave the sensors attached to the exhaust. All right, let's disconnect these. Pull the gray tab out. Then you can pull the clip and disconnect the sensor. That one's simple. On the passenger side, the driver's side is going to be a little more difficult to access. Okay, on the driver's side, you can see the transmission coolant lines here. The connector is actually up behind there. So we have to check in that catalytic converter. I didn't run this long, but they are warm. We have to trace this wiring harness up and kind of do it by feel. But after you've done the passenger side, you know how that clip's got to come out. So that's what we're going to do, and it's almost a one-handed operation. We're going to unbolt our exhaust here. These are 13mm sockets, and never mind the fact that I'm not using an impact socket. We'll be easy. We'll go medium power here. psych, we're gonna go on power. I did pre-lube these, hoping not to break the nuts or break the studs. Again, I had these off less than a year ago to replace the transmission belt. All right, there we go. Okay, the next thing I'm going to do is remove those exhaust hangers. And there's two, one on each side here at the front, and there's several at the back. I have already lubed the actual metal hanger piece to try to help these pop off. All right. Using my screwdriver against the mount there. Do that on both sides. All right. The front is loose. Let's go to the back. Okay, we're at the back of the car. Again, this is a 3.0. It's not a 3.6. It's certainly not a V-spec. So we have the single exhaust on one side. It's not the dual exhaust. We've got one hanger up here at the front of the muffler and two at the back. All right, one there. You may not be able to see these, but there's two back here, one here, and one on this side. I've had these off before. They are a pain. All right. One off and one to go, and I'm sure since it's the last one, it's going to be fun. All right. I'm able to get in there, pull the top one off there on both of these, and left the hangers on the muffler. So now the exhaust is fully loose, and it's hanging on that bracket right there. So we're going to take those off. I believe those are 13 millimeters as well. Might be able to do medium on these. It's going to be loud, sorry. I should have set that socket before I pulled the trigger. All right. Now I need to support that. I'd suggest having somebody else help you with this, and have somebody, or maybe even two people, but at least one person at the back. You can stand up front, hold these while you take these out. So let's see what we can do there. Okay, now we've got access to the heat shield. We're almost there. We'll pull these little inserts out. If we can do it without tearing them up, most of them tear these little guys all to pieces. Almost there. All right. You know what? I didn't need to take those two front ones out. It was a two-piece shield. So I did a third more work than I needed to. That is typical. Yeah, look at that. All right, and I don't know if you saw that. There's a piece of the rubber off the original carrier bearing that fell out with the heat shield. If you look closely, this is why I'm replacing it. Same thing you have, probably. So take off, and under acceleration, stop, you hear the back end, when you feel it, you hear it going, it's this joint right here, bouncing. As that drive shaft kind of loads up, and then it comes under a light load. So it's jumping around. That's because the rubber is just completely deteriorated under there. And this bracket that holds that factory bearing is what we're going to remove. We're actually going to cut that bracket out and then put the new two-piece bracket in with the new rubber bushing that clamps around the factory bearing. We're going to cut all that rubber off. If you've watched the JXB video, you know this. So let's get ready to start that. I'll tell you what, before I do, I'm actually going to review the JXB video again before I just dive into this. I'm sorry I had to take the power cord away from my light. Use that for my Sawzall. So let's start cutting that. One side's done. Do the other side. Cut until you smell rubber. Two. All right, so you can see, cut that off, and if I get that around, you can see already, look at that rubber. It just arced off, man, that's just nasty. So this is a 2011, it's 2025 right now, so 14 years. Depending on the date of manufacture, might be 15 years. So we're going to take these two off. I think those are 16 mil. Those are 15 mil. Amazing. Cadillac didn't make it where you could replace this bearing. Yeah, they recommend you replace the entire drive shaft. If we get it down almost to where the original part of the bearing, this is where that original rubber was out to the mount. But if you can cut it down as flush as you can to the rest of the rubber, that's what you need. We got the JXB parts. They're actually embossed there with JXB. These will slide right over like so. And we'll put the other brackets in, and they're going to sandwich that original bearing in between. So let me get that and see if I actually know what I'm talking about. Okay, I'm going to share with you, I've already done this and had it all the way on, except for had the center support, for carrier bearing support all the way on, and realized I wasn't recording, so I took it back off just because I love you guys so much. So this is the top part of the bracket. We took a 6 millimeter Allen, and there's Allen bolts inside each piece, in each side. And we took 6 millimeter Allen, took those bolts out, and separated the parts. So we got the two rubber brackets, or two rubber bushings, two halves, that are going to go right around this factory bearing. And you have to pay attention. Again, I think I mentioned early on, it says CTS rear wheel drive on one side, CTS STS all wheel drive on the other. You won't be. In my case, I'm rear wheel drive only, so I want the rear wheel drive text facing the front of the vehicle. And the reason is, you have these grooves that are offset. They coincide with the bushing. So once you put the bushing in here, that bushing is going to be offset. And this is CTS rear wheel drive towards the front of the vehicle. So I'm going to turn around towards the front, press this on the bearing, and rotate it around to the top. Now I'm going to do the same thing with the bottom. Put the bearing in, put the bushing in, Find where it says CTS rear wheel drive. Face that towards the front of the vehicle. Let me get my Allen bolts. I'm gonna go ahead and put the Allen bolt inside one side. Do the other side because I prefer to do this side on the right side first. Again, CTS rear wheel drive for me. Rear wheel drive to the front. Got the Allen bolt in, Allen wrench in it. And I'm gonna go ahead and get that screw started. I'm gonna get that bolt started. Make sure you drop the wrench. No project's complete unless you drop the tool at least once. Set up the other side. And we torque these, I think, to 3,000 foot-pounds. Also known as good and tight, because I really don't think there is a torque spec. Okay, and the reason we want this offset is so that your holes line up to the screws above. Let me bring you around and show you what I did here. Okay, we're on the front side now, and you can see the original metal collar here on the drive shaft. I've got that pretty close to it without touching. This will actually flex a little bit. I've got it pretty close to it without touching. That way, as we look straight up, our holes are right there through the brackets on each side. All right, so to mount the bolts that go through that carrier bearing bracket to the car, we do not reuse the factory bolts. You use the bolt that comes with the JXB kit. Use a fender washer, and they actually have different washers in there. Two of them are like this with a larger hole in the inside. If you look, the washer is actually a little bit larger than the other one, and the hole on the inside is a little bit larger. So you're going to put it on the bolt first. Then you're going to take one of your bushings with a small raised area upward, and just drop the other washer. You're going to push that down. That's going to go up through the bolt, through the bracket. You're going to put another bushing down from the top side and sandwich that bracket in between the two. Those raised areas, actually both of those meet each other inside the bracket. Then you're going to take a small washer. There's two on top of the assembly, which will be up top. If your factory bracket came with a spacer clip to the top, mine did not, so I don't need these. But if your factory bracket came with a spacer clip to the top, you're going to use the additional washers to match the height of that spacer. Stack them on top of the small washer, on top of the bracket up here to mount those. Mine did not have a spacer, so I don't need those. So all I need is the bolt, the large fender washer, bottom bushing, top bushing, which are identical, just flip them towards each other, and a small washer with the bracket in the middle. So let's get that installed. So I've got the bolt with the fender washer and the bushing through it. I'm going to take the other bushing with the small washer up top. If I can do this without blocking the video. Push those through. Then we're going to start that by hand. When we're done, the JXB says to torque these to 19 Newton meters. That's one. Let's do the other side. All right, same thing. Bolt, fender washer, bushing with another bushing, and a small washer. Again, if you've watched the JXB video, it clearly explains this. I was wrong earlier. JXB does show how to remove the exhaust, although they had an aftermarket exhaust, which was able to be separated. I had to remove the entire exhaust. All right, we're going to torque these to 19 Newton meters, which is about 14 foot-pounds. These are 13 millimeters. I'll tell you what, 19 Newton meters, 14 foot-pounds ain't much torque. Let's use the proper English. It isn't much torque. Man, it's a shame to cover that up with a heat shield, never to be seen again. I mean, not even the next time you undo your car, you're going to see that. It's just going to be covered. That's what we're going to do. So let's see how fast this takes. My son just finished mowing the yard. The goal was to finish this install before he finished mowing the yard, and that didn't happen. But it's also a good thing because he finished in time to help me put the exhaust back on. So let me get started on that. Okay, this should be reverse order of what we did before. And I did give it the old wiggle test to make sure it wasn't floppy anymore, which it shouldn't be now that we've got it tightened up. There. Let's see next. Oh man, next was cleaning the exhaust and then put this back in. All right, we're gonna put the exhaust back on, and the bracket that goes underneath it, it's got like a curved U shape. It curves towards the front of the vehicle. 4 to 3, I think. Alright, let's do this side, this side. Yeah, now push it up. Alright, there we go. Because the exhaust right. Now we're going to go back with these connections here. Let's see if I can get you up under there. I'm going to try to see if you can see this, because this is the one side we can see on the passenger side. This connector goes back through here, clips here, clipped on, and then we take this little tab and go through behind it, lock it in. This side we got to do the same thing, but then I'm going to push it up, lock it in place. You're not going to be able to see this, so I'm not going to be able to see this. Okay, well that is it. Do a quick sweep of the area. Okay, I'll clean up all these little bits of rubber that we cut apart off the original bushing. And that's the main piece there. We'll throw those away. We'll drop it down and give it a test drive. So that's what I mean. It's up in here somewhere, never to be seen again, hopefully. All right, well, thanks for watching.